Hello, and welcome to Retro Cheese Review, where I force my friends and loved ones to watch cheesy movies from my childhood. With me again is a regular to the channel, Rob Keeler. Okay, just getting that boo in for you instead of the applause. Rob, go ahead and say hi to everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah. Okay, so we will be reviewing today a movie that Rob picked out from his childhood, Ernest Scared Stupid. Now, I saw all of the Ernest movies as a kid. I fucking loved Ernest. Still do. Jim Varney, rest in peace. It's a shame that what Peter Griffin did to you with a shotgun.
Hey, Jim, come out in the yard, will you?
Sure thing, Vern.
He got the shotgun, Brian. Don't ask me how he did it, but Jim Varney got the shotgun. Run for your life! What? Run!
Burn.
Diving kind of right in, let's go ahead and do our nostalgia take on this, like nostalgia review. As a kid, honestly, I've got to say, I mixed up all of the Ernest movies, don't know which one from another. I was like, which one's this one? Okay, this is the one with the troll. Because they all kind of blend together. I would have still given it like a 4.5 out of 5 as a kid, because it's fucking Jim Varney just being Ernest. And honestly, Rimshot is the main reason why I'd give it a 4.5. How about you, Rob?
As a kid, I loved this movie. I remember watching it in theaters with my friends. After watching it now, I'm like, oh my God. The biggest thing that bothered me was the power level of the troll.
The power level.
It was all over the place. First off, the troll could stop a truck, okay?
Yeah.
But gets knocked over with that rope.
Well, what's the rating you would have given it as a kid on a scale of whatever you want?
I would have given it like 6 Jim Varneys out of 5.
6 out of 5.
Yeah.
So Rotten Tomatoes would not agree with either of us. Looking at Rotten Tomatoes, there's a standard early 90s, hour and a half only comedy, 1991. The Ernest movies actually went from like the mid 80s into the late 90s. Like there was a long freaking run of these movies, and this is kind of a mid-level Ernest. It was like right in the middle there of the early 90s. He started to hit his stride.
It wasn't Ernest Goes to Jail.
Yeah, he was hitting his stride though. It wasn't the early stuff. But he really, like, Ernest Goes to Jail, I think, is the most iconic. That and Ernest Saves Christmas, which is one of the earliest. So Rotten Tomatoes, the critics gave it a 17%. That is bullshit. Like I personally think, that's what I think of the critics. Audience score 51%. I still think that's too damn low. Because, frankly, I loved this movie as a child. And, fuck you, critics, thinking that it's a 17%.
So, while watching it, the real thing that bothered me was the agility of that troll. Like, as
a very agile fat troll
on screen, he would move quite slowly.
Yeah.
A lot of yelling, stuff like that, breathing, and you turn around and then there he was. Like he had like instant transmission.
Yeah. You know what surprised me the most, because as a kid I forgot about this because I remember the early Ernest movies. By this time, Ernest got a budget. And like the troll costume is far better than like the Troll movies, like Troll or Troll 2. Well, there's not trolls in Troll 2, but like it's a pretty damn good troll costume. This ain't no Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark. This was like a big budget movie.
Oh, I'd say the troll costume is better than the Leprechaun.
Oh, easily. Like if you're talking about the Leprechaun movies, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's obviously inconsistencies. Getting into the movie, I love the opening. As a kid, it gave you the spoops. It's showing literally just clips of of really old horror movies to spoopy music with Ernest just doing really stupid facial reactions. I kind of forgot he was like the original Jim Carrey. Let's be honest. Like, I know that Jim Carrey started coming up around the mid to late '80s, but I'm saying, like, let's be honest. Ernest with the crazy faces was even before that. And that was his big thing, was like
doing the impressions and stuff like that.
Contorting the face and doing impressions. That was his entire character.
There should have been more Vern in it, though. It was lacking Vern.
I don't think there was a single bit of Vern in this movie.
Yeah, no Vern.
Really, the protagonist of this movie was that little wiener kid. I can't think of his name.
A little fat kid?
No, the skinny kid. No, he was kind of a little dork. It's funny because I was a dork as a kid, but you know what I mean. Like,
bringing up that little dork out of nowhere, like, it even seemed unexpected to him, is getting some action from that little girl. Remember that kid out of nowhere?
She's Joseph Gordon-Levitt's girlfriend from Third Rock from the Sun. She was actually the one that went on to, like, outside of Ernest, to be like actually had an acting career, because I recognized her from somewhere. I was a huge Third Rock from the Sun, and I'm like, where's that little girl from? Like, and I'm like, oh, okay, she was the one that they replaced with, I don't remember the actress's name, but Alex Mack, basically. Yeah, she was actually a fairly good actress. It almost felt like it was a kids troll movie that they decided, the studio was like, you know, this movie script seems okay, but you know what would sell it more? Ernest. So it actually didn't feel a lot like an Ernest movie so much as a kids troll movie that they threw Ernest into.
So what I heard was they had really crappy writing. That's what I would say is, you know, falling flat on this is just the writing of the movie.
Yeah, Ernest holds up his side. Oddly enough, even the child actors are pretty good. And they got Eartha Kitt, for God's sakes.
They're Goosebumps plus actors.
Yeah, they're better than like Goosebumps. I would say they're somewhere around Are You Afraid of the Dark. They're still cheesy. They're still child actors, but you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they weren't bad. Ernest did good. Eartha Kitt. I swear to God, the whole time she was just gonna. No, that is makeup. Eartha Kitt did not. Eartha Kitt looked great all the way up into like her 90s or whatever. You know, she went into like, but like the entire time, all I could think, because I was a huge old Batman fan. Every time she talked, I was just thinking that she was gonna be like talking to Ernest. She was gonna just be like, "Bring me Batman, Ernest." So, like, because she had that full Catwoman
hair, you know. When did she go white? Was she dying for a while?
No, they did that for the movie, Rob. They wanted to make her look more old and decrepit while she went like
she looked horrible in the movie.
Like, I almost felt like, it's funny because I don't think Nicolas Cage was super popular even back then, but it's almost like the direction was like they gave her like a horrible outfit, made Eartha Kitt look like shit somehow, which that's the makeup department. That's good on them. And then told her to go Nicolas Cage because she was just like, her acting was just way like even Ernest is kind of like standing there being like, Jim Varney is like, take it down a notch, man. Like the whole time, like, because every single scene she's in, she's at like 11.
Oh yeah, it caught Ernest off a couple times. That first one where she comes out the door, he takes a step back and is like leaning back.
You gotta really go all out to throw Jim Varney off of his game. Diving into the plot of this movie, which, let's be honest, nobody is watching this for the plot. People are watching this for Ernest and his stupid fucking gags, and they're watching it for Rimshot, the dog. That dog was in like dozens of movies throughout the 90s, by the way. Very talented dog actor, if that's a thing. And adorable. But like the plot of the movie is essentially Ernest's great-great-grandfather sealed a troll away a couple hundred years ago, and his family was cursed to get stupider and stupider until eventually the dumbest one would release the troll. There comes, Ernest. He's hanging out with these children for some reason. I guess it's not weird. All the parents are okay with it because they know Ernest is a very special guy.
This was the 90s though. There wasn't chomos back then.
There were. It just wasn't as prevalent. And, well, Ernest is an innocent guy who's very kid-like anyway, so it makes sense, honestly. And Ernest is the trash collector also. There's some hilarity in there where Ernest almost kills himself with a trash compactor.
We all had an Ernest in our lives.
We all had... And I don't think growing up in my hometown there was any Ernest. I avoided those people. There was definitely an Ernest-esque, but I think there was a lot of drugs involved to get that guy acting like Ernest. The trash compactor scene's hilarious. They're taking it straight out of Star Wars, but the dog's trying to save him instead of R2-D2. The kids that Ernest is friends with are getting bullied by some other kids, so Ernest offers to help make them like a tree fort to stave off the bully kids. That's when Eartha Kitt shows up and is like, you dumb idiot piece of shit, why are you in that tree? That's where the troll's buried. Don't you know that your family was supposed to...
all these trees and you pick that tree.
Yeah, and Ernest goes to talk to her. She tells him exactly what not to do, and he tells the kids, hey, yeah, there's a troll buried under here, but I'd have to do this exact thing on this exact night, and he does exactly that. Before that, I missed that Ernest did some characters to teach the kid how to defend himself. Like, he did, an army sergeant and, the old lady, which was hilarious because Ernest always does that. Troll gets released. Ernest gets ripped off by the fat guy and the old silent guy that's in all of the movies and buys a bunch of troll spray. Tries to fight the troll. Parents are around. Kids are getting turned. What are they getting turned into? I forget. Like little wooden dolls.
Little wooden statues that he plants in there to become more powerful. And for some reason, it creates giant zits.
Yeah, that's how we find out trolls breed, is by turning kids into little wooden statues to put in the tree that become little nasty fruit that become the trolls. Ernest tries to fight him a few times. I don't know. None of the parents seem to believe, even though all the kids are missing. Finally, the parents believe them because the troll shows up to a dance.
Early 90s. As long as the kid returns for dinner, and it hadn't really. The whole movie takes place within a day and a half.
Yeah, and the parents don't care. It's like, oh, our kid's probably just off, building a tree fort and smoking cigarettes. Who cares? It's the 90s. They're poking a dead body down by the creek. But Ernest fights the troll many times. The dog gets turned into a wooden block, which is the saddest moment. The troll turns the fucking rim shot into a wooden statue. And Ernest is even like, you can turn all these kids into wooden statues, but don't you touch my dog, you piece of shit.
Hey, don't you hurt my dog!
He said it in those exact words. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised. That was in a children's movie.
You find out that the troll's weakness is something to do with a mother's love. For some reason that equates to milk, and the kid who's the protagonist figures that out, starts spraying the trolls shows up with squirt guns and starts spraying all the troll spawn down with milk, but it doesn't work on the lead troll, and Ernest figures out it's because it's not strong enough. He needs pure love. So Ernest hugs the troll and gives him a kiss, which destroys him. And that brings, all the kids back. He's all sad because he doesn't have a friend, but then it brings Rimshot back. And Ernest is a hero.
No one in the tree for me.
Yeah, I bet there's no one in that tree for me. And then Rimshot jumps out and he's licking the inside of Ernest's mouth. Eartha Kitt's looking at him like it's very awkward. It's kind of cute. It's adorable. And gross at the same time.
So this takes place in, I wouldn't even say a suburb, but it's a small town. There are 0 guns.
Yeah, and it's in America in the 90s. There were plenty of guns back then.
Oh yeah,
it's they have to use super.
taken that troll's head right off.
They have to use super soakers full of milk. Meanwhile, at some point, Jim Varney's able to hurt the troll with just, like, some rope. Like, that cop should have just... Like, the cop who's, like, the father of the lead kid, he depends on his kid to do... Like, all the people show up to try to stop the trolls, and they've got, like, baseball bats and stuff. It's like, no, this is small town, probably Midwest. All of them would have guns, and they would have just shot those trolls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or where were the Swedes at the point? Swedes are really good at fighting trolls. They would have gotten wind of it.
Yeah.
No
Obviously,
Swedes.
it wasn't like, in northern Illinois or Wisconsin.
Yeah.
They would have
Yeah,
taken care of the trolls.
Yeah, they had trouble finding milk, God forbid if it was in Wisconsin, they would have been like, "Oh, we got lots of milk."
Cheese.
Flood.
Lot of cheese.
There would have been enough in the air that the trolls couldn't survive.
Yeah.
Just the steam of the milk. So kind of getting into, like my thoughts on the movie. Again, I've seen all of the Ernest movies. I mix them up. This one I would say is like a mid-level. It's not one of the worst Ernest movies, but definitely not one of the best. You don't get the Ernest goes to jail where he starts force lightning everybody after getting the electric chair. But you get some funny moments. You get one moment of Ernest going through and doing all of his characters. You get some silliness. All in all, heartwarming, simple holiday story with, some Ernest gags. How about you? What were your... I just want some more thoughts from you.
Yeah, they don't make movies like this anymore. That it's a movie for entertainment values for kids. That just where it's dumb, there's no real plot to it. It's just because. It seems like movies nowadays are just too dark.
Yeah, and you always have to
dark.
you always have to have a story. You always have to have dark. You always have to force the comedy now, and you always have to pad for time. Like back in the day, most kids' movies were hour 30 and we're done. You get in to the theater, you get your popcorn, and you're done before you have to piss.
Yeah, you can do an 80-minute movie, and that was fine. Now they've got to be 2 hours, 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Which is fine. I like those types of movies, but I do miss the nostalgia.
Yeah. What was Oppenheimer? What?
I still have not watched that because you told me there weren't enough explosions.
I give it one explosion out of 10.
We won't be reviewing that. That's not retro enough and yet too retro at the same time.
One explosion out of 10.
Yeah, 1 out of 10 explosions. So let's get into kind of our rating in terms of the rewatch. Again, love Ernest. Rewatch, it's funny, I thought I was probably going to be like, oh, this is so cheesy, this is so stupid. I still enjoyed it. I still laughed. I wouldn't give it a 4.5, but I'd still give it a solid 4 out of 5, honestly. I would give this movie a solid 4 out of 5 because it was cheesy, but it was still funny.
It's a good October watch. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I give it 2 pumpkins.
2 pumpkins out of how many pumpkins?
Pumpkin patch.
Two out of a... That is a weird rating, and I have no idea how much you liked it or not.
2 pumpkins out of a pumpkin patch.
What's the lowest score you could have given it? No pumpkins?
The lowest score? 3 smashed pumpkins.
I don't know where you're going. I think you enjoyed it is the point, right?
It was worthwhile for an October movie. Absolutely.
Yeah. If you have younger...
Go watch it in theaters coming out this October.
I don't think that's the case. Honestly, if you have young children and you want to get some, a Halloween movie that you can watch together, and they're not the kind of kid that, like I was, that can watch, slasher movies at, age of 5, but you just want something with a little bit of spoopy sprinkled in. I would say scariness-wise, maybe, Goosebumps level, the old Goosebumps series. Let's be honest, it wasn't really scary.
3 to 4 out of 5 spooky witches.
Yeah. I would go ahead. I would do that. This movie, I would rate it up there with like the first Hocus Pocus in terms of you can, fun for the whole family.
Yeah,
Thank God that Jim Varney didn't live to see all of the new remakes coming out, because God forbid we got an Ernest Scared Stupid 2 and it was as terrible as Hocus Pocus 2.
Oh no, we would get a Ernest Ernest from the Dead or something.
Ernest Back from the Dead. Yeah.
Ernest Back from the Dead. Ernest Scared Alive.
Ernest Scared Alive, yeah. The point is, let's be honest, a lot of the 90s, reboots have been trash and hurt me right in the childhood. And, while I miss Jim Varney, I'm glad that we have these classic movies that have been untouched.
The only, and it's not really a remake that for a October movie, is the new Muppets Haunted Mansion.
I have not seen that.
That was done right.
Some of the Muppets have been hit or miss since Henson died. Yeah,
I would say that's a good watch.
I'll have to give it a chance.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for watching. Happy Halloween. I'll be streaming some more retro games, probably more Halloween themed soon. And have a great Halloween.
Spectacular Halloween.
Yeah. And like and subscribe this video if you liked it. If you're not a fan of Ernest or you disliked it,
here, maybe this way. I
yeah,
don't know.
if you didn't like this, please dislike it. If you don't like Rob, leave hate comments for Rob, and I will read them to him so that he cries at night.
I only live up off the substance that he reads to me of the hate mail, so
yeah,
send that.
We haven't got any hate comments for Rob yet, and we need them. So please leave hate comments for Rob. And thank you all for watching. Bye.